Hello everyone, my name is Nathan Lamy, and today we're going to be going over some French horn basics. Some of the stuff you need to know in order to get started playing. Things like playing position, good playing posture, how to sit correctly, good breathing technique, how to properly care for your instrument, and so on. I hope you find this video very informative and enjoy it. So let's get started with sitting position. Now, the first step in getting good French horn sitting position is knowing that you have to sort of adjust the way you sit. Now, right now I'm sitting straight on with the chair with my back comfortably on it, but for French horn, you want to sit more at an angle. This will help you facilitate playing a little bit better and make it so you can rest your horn a little more comfortably. Now, right now I have the chair leg coming out straight between my two legs, and my right leg, my outside leg, is slightly raised, and my inside leg, my left leg, is going straight out. Now, you want your right leg to be raised because it is where you're going to be resting your instrument, and you don't want the instrument to be too low, and you also don't want to reach up for the instrument. So you want your right leg at the right height, which is more clear when you have the French horn with you, so that if you rest it here on your thigh and bring it up to your mouth, you don't have to move. Now, as you've noticed, I sat up straight, which is always important for when you're playing brass, because your diaphragm needs to be able to support your sound and your air. And so the way I'm sitting right now, as if I was standing with my knees bent, I can get a good supported sound using my diaphragm, and my air will come straight out and forward through my windpipe. So now we're going to talk about breathing, tonguing, and buzzing. Breathing is the first step in order to get a good buzz and to get a good sound, because the breath and the breath support is what allows you to have a nice, good, and full sound on a brass instrument. So, in order to get started with some good breathing, we're going to do two breathing warm-ups. The first one is 4 in, 4 out, and it goes like this. Now, the way that works is that you take in a big breath over 4 counts. You want it to stay nice and balanced over the 4, and you hiss out for 4 counts. I'll demonstrate again. Now, you can also increase the amount of time you hiss out and decrease the amount of time you take in. In this example, I'm going to do 2 in and 8 out. Now, the idea behind this exercise is that you want to be breathing in fully and fill your lungs on however many counts you're going in, and letting all your air out for the counts you're going out. The hissing really lets you hear how fast or how slow your air is going, so you can keep it at a nice constant pace. A constant airstream is really crucial for playing any brass instrument and for singing as well. Now, another good warm-up is the dragon. This one's fun because you get to make a silly face, and it's just fun. I think it's fun. You take in as much air as you can over 5 big breaths, and so on, and then you hold it, and then you sip in as much air as you possibly can, trying to expand your lungs. And then once they're as full as possible, you let all of it out at once. Just like this. Sip. And release. Now, for buzzing, you want to create your embouchure. In order to create a good embouchure, you want to keep a nice, straight line across your lips. Sort of like this. Now, that takes some effort, some practice, and everything, but you'll get used to it. It's sort of like you're smirking. And inside the embouchure, right here in the center, is what's called the aperture. It's a little space in your lips that your air is actually coming out of. So it looks like this. And when your air is coming out of that aperture, that's what's actually going to produce the sound. But in order to get that sound, you need to make your lips buzz. And a good buzz will sound something like this. Now, all I'm doing for that is keeping my lips tight, well, not too tight, tight enough where it's not painful, but not too loose, and making my air go fast enough that it makes my lips vibrate. And depending on how tight or how loose you make your lips, you'll get different sounds through this, like so. But when you're trying to get your buzz down, you want to avoid two things. You want to avoid having your lips too loose and getting that farty duck sound, because that's not a buzz. But you also don't want to have your lips too tight that it hurts you, because you're gonna, one, it's going to cause you pain in the future, and it's going to make your buzz sound like this, and it's going to make your face be really tense. And tension's not anything you want to do, anything you want to have when you're playing any instrument. So make sure your buzz is nice, comfortable, focused, and it'll give you the ability to play really well on your French horn. Now, before we get to tonguing, I want you to try something with me. I want you to try breathing out through your aperture the same way we had just practiced, where it was nice, straight, and constant, like this. The way that should feel is that it should feel like your stomach is very, very slowly contracting in. But you should also try this. This is called stomach pumping. When you take in the same air, the same breath, but you push air out in little bits. Now, this is a common mistake for beginning players, because they want to play short notes or however kind of notes they want, but they think they have to stop after the note. So if I was going to play quarter notes using stomach pumping, it would look like this. When in actuality, it should look more like this. And now what was different is that I used a technique called tonguing. Tonguing is the idea that you have your constant airstream that never really stops, the really focused forward-going airstream, but you use your tongue to stop the air as you need it. Now, a good way to practice this is to have a nice constant whole note for over 4 counts, and then quarter notes for 4 beats, just like this. Now, that's easy when you're using your embouchure and you're just breathing, but if you really want to, you can use your buzz. In fact, it's a really good idea to get your buzz, because one, it helps you practice your buzz sound, and it's going to help you hear or feel what it's going to be like when you're doing that with your buzz. So, like this. Now that's good practice, and make sure when you're tonguing that you're not pumping with your stomach every time you stop. It should really feel like your airstream never stops, and that your tongue is really the only thing stopping it. So for this portion of the video, I figured we'd have a change of scenery, because the French horn is a little bit bigger than the trumpet, so we want to have enough space to open it. But again, just like the trumpet, you always want to open the case on the floor or another solid object. This is a big table, so when I open up the case, it's not going to flop and move, and I don't have to worry about my French horn falling on the ground. When you're opening the case, make sure your locks are always in the bottom part, so when you open it up, your French horn or any of the brass instruments doesn't fall out onto your case. Here in the inside of my case, we have the French horn mouthpiece, a little different from the trumpet mouthpiece, as in it's smaller and more in a more narrow cup. We have valve oil, just like the trumpet, and of course we have the French horn. When you're taking your French horn out, always grab it from the larger parts of the tubing. So I'm going to grab it here by the handrest, and I'm going to grab it here by the bell. You don't want to grab it by any of this tubing, because you might pinch it or crunch it in any other way, and there's a lot of tubing involved in a French horn, so you really want to take extra good care not to damage it. On the front side, we have the tuning, or the 3 valves. Here we have the medium valve, the smallest valve, and the largest valve. And they all have their own slides, so if you want to tune one of them or just take it out, you depress the spatula and pull the slide out. Here, I'll bring it a little closer. I'm depressing it and I'm sliding it out, and I'm going to slide it back in. And on the back is the main tuning slide right here. You can also pull this up, push it down to tune the instrument itself. Here we have the spatulas, which are connected to a rotary valve in the back. This is different from a piston valve because instead of pressing down and having the valve go down, this spins the valve and allows one of the tubings to open. I'll show you. So see, as I press down this valve, it pulls the rotary valve on the other side. Other things you want to know, this is the bell, of course, the bell of the horn. This is the lead pipe where you're going to put your mouthpiece, and these two finger grips, hard to see, but I'll show you after. There's one and there's the other, are for where you put your hand. Now let's get down to playing. So here we are. We have our French horn and we're ready to play. In my left hand, I have my hand in the correct playing position, which is my thumb in this grip, my pinky in the pinky grip, and my 3 fingers on the spatulas. I'm using the tips of my fingers because it'll facilitate faster movement in the future and it'll make the playing of the instrument a lot easier in general. My other hand is in the bell of the instrument. Here I have it about where my knuckles are, and that's where I'm stopping. And the reason you want to have your hand in like this is, one, to support the instrument, but there are 2 types of ways of playing the French horn. There's open horn and stopped horn. The difference in stopped horn and open horn being, here in open horn I have a hole between my hand and the bell, but for stopped horn I put my hand down. So if we're going to play our first note, let's play a C. That's no depression of any spatulas, just blow it straight through the horn. And much like other brass instruments, these spatulas lower the note by increasing the length of tubing it has to go through. So if I wanted to lower that C by a half step, I would use my second valve. And if I wanted to lower it by a whole step, I'd use my first valve. And if I wanted to lower it by a whole step and a half step, I'd use my third valve. And any other number of combinations can be done until you get finally to all of your keys depressed, which is the longest your French horn can be. It also works up. If you want it to go upwards, you need to use more air and depress the spatulas. So now that you can play, you'll notice that you'll start to develop spit on the inside of your instrument. But unlike a trumpet and a trombone and other brass instruments, the French horn doesn't have a water valve or a water key. So in order to get the spit out, you need to spin the instrument. Go bell first, and 2 rotations is usually good. And at this point, water would be shooting out of the lead pipe. So make sure when you do spin your instrument to take your mouthpiece out, because if you don't, you're going to get ready to play and you're going to get a mouthful of your own spit. It's not fun. Or if you still hear that watery sound inside your instrument, you can also take one of these tuning slides out by depressing the key and pulling the slide out, just like this. And then just shake it out, and if nothing comes out, that means it's good. You can do this for all 3 of your key slides, and you can do it for your main tuning slide as well. Not so much in your main tuning slide are you going to get spit, but you might get some in the other valve slides. And once it's back in, you're set to play. You can put your mouthpiece right back in and get to work. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I wish you luck in all your playing efforts. Enjoy the French horn.